Hello and welcome to the Magic Manifesting Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Monica, and I'm here with Adrienne. And if you're new to this podcast, this is going to be your space to shift your mindset, realign your energy, trust your innate gifts, and ultimately become abundant AF. Not only do we talk about the woo woo, but we also discuss the science, the psychology, and the practical ways to manifest our desires and make that money. So, like I said, I have Adrienne here. She is a tarot reader, tarot teacher, clarity coach, and past life regressionist. So, let me just start off by asking you, Adrienne, for those who are new to your world, can you break down what you do and how your craft actually works and how it's impacted your life or the people you serve?
Yeah, well, first, hi, and thanks so much for having me here.
Of
I'm really excited.
course.
And I can always talk tarot, so that's never a problem. So, my main focus right now, especially, is tarot. And how it works is a really big question because I can honestly say I don't know. I don't actually know how tarot works, but I trust the process because it seems to.
Right?
So, yeah, seems like I'm going with it. I'm someone who tries everything and sticks with very little. And tarot is one thing that has stuck with me and has worked for me. And the way I use it is a tool for really understanding ourselves because all tarot is a deck of cards that illustrates the human experience. We have all been every single one of these cards. They're not a shock. They're not like, oh my gosh, this is brand new information. Like none of that is present in the tarot deck. So I think it's just a really useful tool as a mirror to dig deeper, to understand yourself, to understand this wild ride that we're on right now, to get clear on what you want. It's great for manifestation and setting intentions, and to really find out where your blockages are or your shadows are lurking so that you can deal with it and really choose a life that you want to be living. Because isn't that a really exciting part of being here? Like we get choice and agency in that. So
Absolutely.
I love it. I do weave tarot into my coaching as well. And clarity coaching is just to help people get really aligned with who they are, what they want, what's possible for them, so that they can actually start taking action on it. And for past life regression, for me, I'm always someone who wants to understand myself more and more and more. And even as a kid, I had a best friend growing up, and her stepmom was super into past life regression stuff. So I just grew up kind of like not being into it, but knowing about it because I remember her
Yeah,
telling us all these stories of the sessions she did. And I don't know, I just thought it was super cool. So I had to get into it because what a really interesting way to understand yourself and see patterns you're repeating and lessons you're learning and things that you're ready to break, right? So cool. So,
absolutely. And and they all kind of like go in together because a lot of times when you have like there sometimes you have blocks or you have these things that have happened in your past life that either it is a block or it's something that's just influencing why you are the way that you are. And then also if you're wanting to go out and you're wanting to, create this life that you desire, well, sometimes you need to get clarity on that. And then also the tarot cards can all help with that. So I feel like everything you do all kind of goes together.
yeah, like it bundles nicely.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And in terms of impact, like it's impacted my life because I was someone who, like as a teenager, for example, I was so afraid to even go into stores and stuff by myself. I was so ridiculously shy. I thought nobody wanted me anywhere. It was a hard pull, I guess. And I really got into tarot at a time in my life where my life had completely changed. So I lived in Japan for 5 years, and then I came back to Canada. And I felt like I had taken so many steps backwards in life. Like I went back to my old job. I went back to living with my parents because I had to rent my house. And I was like, who am I? Like I had lived like what felt like a whole different life in a foreign country. And now it's like I took, 7 years backwards.
Right.
And it was really unnerving, discombobulating, identity questioning.
I bet it was for sure.
Yeah, and it's hard because like it feels like everyone's moved on and you're not the same person, but they see you as the same person because you were so far apart for so long. And that's really when I got into tarot, and it helped me realize a lot of things, shift a lot of beliefs, work with a lot of shadows, release a lot of stuff that I didn't even realize I was holding on to that wasn't actually mine. And I feel like if it works for me, it works for other people. And a lot of the people that I've worked with and served have had similar experiences. They found the clarity that they've needed. They've been able to be more authentic to who they want to be and have more fun in their life, because my whole thing too is you got to have fun. Or like, what's the
Absolutely.
right? Like we're here to enjoy. So it's just been really exciting and exciting to see what people learn about themselves, the light bulb moment that goes off during a reading, even that validation or that like, okay, like I'm not totally losing my mind.
Right. I think that for me, like that's one of the things because like sometimes you're like, well, I think it's because of this, but I'm not sure. And so whether whether it's because of whether you're doing the tarot or you're doing the past life regression, it's nice sometimes to be like, see, yes, I was right, you know?
It's like that validation where you're like, oh,
Right.
okay, so this is actually holding me back. And yeah, maybe it is time to deal with it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, cool. Awesome. So now you kind of already touched on this, but I wanted to see if there was anything more that you wanted to say. As far as can you, well, actually, no, you did answer this, but I'll go ahead and just ask in case there is something additional you want to say. So I want you to take us back to the moment you decided this was the path for you. If you could tell us about that.
Well, I think it's still a good question, I think, because I think getting into tarot personally is different from taking what you've learned and reading for other people, right? Like it's a big
Right.
difference because I honestly think everyone should learn to read tarot. And that's
Yeah.
partially why I teach tarot, because I think it's such an amazing tool that you can never want to read for anyone but yourself and still get so much richness out of it. So like, it's great. And I think it's when I realized how much I actually stuck with it and how much it helped me, I thought, well, if it helps me, maybe it'll help someone else. So I was really nervous to put myself out there at first because for me, I didn't want to be wrong. And when you're
Right.
learning tarot, that's what's overwhelming is you're like, I want the right answer. And that's a very difficult thing to let go of for a lot of people. And it totally was for me too. So it took me a while to like ease in to reading for others. So I started anonymously on the internet.
Hey,
On
that works.
right? Like behind a screen name on Tumblr, oddly enough. And then I joined the Biddy Tarot community, and they had like a free reading platform. So you're still kind of doing it anonymously,
Oh,
but that
cool.
was for feedback. So that was really helpful. And then eventually I was like, no, you know what? This is working for me. I enjoy it. It's helping people. I feel like it's making a difference. So let's keep on going. So
Yeah.
I've been through lots of name changes, not gonna lie. But I realized I had to use my name. That's why I went. And I settled on Adrienne because that's my name. So
Right. Hey, that's okay. That works. And you know, when when I first started doing, I mostly do oracle card readings, partially because they're so much easier. But I can do tarot. I'm just a lot slower at it. I don't know all of the cards right off the bat. Um, and I've tried to um look at the card and analyze what I think that it is. And sometimes I'm
yeah,
right and sometimes I'm not. So because I want to be faster at it, I usually do the oracle card readings. But still, what you said is, you don't want to be wrong at first. So I did a lot of freebie readings, and then I learned there's certain subjects I'm not good at. So like
fair.
I can't do love readings worth a crap.
Really?
My yeah, and I think it's because my own biases.
Fair.
And so I just totally don't do them. So the cards are right. It's my interpretation of the cards that's incorrect. And that's something that I think that a lot of people don't realize when they're doing tarot or they're wanting to do tarot is sometimes they already have a preconceived notion of what they think that it
Yep.
means, and that can definitely influence the reading,
Oh yeah.
both both with the cards that you draw and also how you explain what the cards are trying to tell you.
Yeah, and some of it too, especially if you read for yourself, is like you're seeing what you want to see or you're seeing what you expect to see. And I think that's a trap that a lot of people fall into because I hear a lot online that people can't read for themselves. And everyone can read for themselves. I'm not saying it's easy necessarily because it is about you have to get out of your own way, and
Hmm.
we're the hardest person to do that for, right?
Right, exactly.
Realistically. But I think everyone can hone that skill if it's something they're interested in doing.
I think so too. I think another reason why people say that they can't read for themselves is that's an old school thing that was taught. Like my mom, like she thought you couldn't, you just weren't allowed to read for yourself. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm gonna read for myself.
Break all the rules.
Right, exactly. Like I don't care. I'm gonna do it. And but yeah, and she wasn't the only person who told me that. Like there were a lot of people who I heard like from her generation that said that you couldn't read for yourself. You weren't allowed. Somebody else had to do it.
Yeah, and I saw that recently, even on a Facebook post. I had posted something and someone replied saying that. And I was like, I don't know if I get along with this very well. Because, like, to me,
Right,
that's very much the ego getting in the way, is
right.
really what it comes down to.
I
And
think so.
And I think too, if you're using tarot mainly for predictive things, it's probably harder to read for yourself. But if you're using it more of a tool to understand, I think that does take some of the pressure off as well.
Yes.
Like approach it with curiosity, right? Not with like a expectation.
Right, exactly. And something that I've started to do when I read for myself, or if I'm using like a pendulum, then I'll say something like, I want no preconceived notions, no ego, nothing like that. This is just pure facts. That's all I want is pure facts. And so I don't know if it's helping, but I think it is anyways.
And if it helps you, it helps you. Like sometimes I'll sing a song in my head. So I'm a big Friends fan, so I don't, I
Oh,
don't know if you as well.
I'm watching it right now again for like the fourth time or something.
Amazing. So there's an episode where they go around and they're in the coffee shop and you hear everybody's thoughts, but
Oh,
then in like
yeah.
Joey's head it's like do 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 do.
Yes.
So I do that sometimes as I'm pulling the cards because I'm singing the song in my head. I'm not focusing on so much what I'm pulling, so whatever comes
Right.
up, I feel like I can trust better, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea. I do that sometimes when I'm doing Reiki, so that way I don't get distracted by all the things because
Yeah.
it's so quiet. So yeah.
So just like a silly little song and see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever helps and makes it to where you can get that information, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And the info's there for your taking too. And I think it's such a nice way to connect with your subconscious and to connect with your intuition. And going
Exactly.
back to what we were saying about being right, sometimes there really is no right answer. Like sometimes the cards just ask more questions, which can be frustrating, but is
Yeah.
often so needed too.
Right, exactly. And if you're looking at something that's predictive, that's something that can change
Yes.
all of the time. So what may be true today, may not be true 2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
and so that's why it's good to continuously pull the cards for those type of predictive
Yeah,
situations.
it's just like if energy or things have changed too, right? If nothing's changed, you're probably gonna get the same answer. But I would never want someone to come to a reading, ask about what's likely to happen, and then think they're stuck in that path because
Yeah,
you're never stuck. You're only
exactly.
stuck if you believe you're stuck.
And that's why I love, so I do business and financial oracle card readings. And I love for people to get that information because if it's not a positive reading, then that gives them the knowledge to change. And I'm sure that you probably feel the same thing with your tarot readings as well,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, well, and I do love readings. I am cheesy like that. The type of readings I don't love are like medical type readings because
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a doctor. Like yeah, just not my jam. But pretty much anything else I'm open to. But like love and self-development are probably my favorite. But it's the same thing. Like I can't tell you if your relationship is good or bad because it depends on the work that you put into it. Any
Exactly.
relationship can be amazing and any relationship can be crappy. Some are easier than others, but how much do you want to work at it? Some people don't want to do the work, and that's fine. I'm not saying you have to. But
Mhm.
if you know that it's going to be a struggle and you're like, that's not what I want for my life, then maybe it's not the best match for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
If
Totally.
you want to, fight it out and see if it's worth pursuing, then that might be worth it to you too. So,
Now, since you said that you do like love readings, I do have to ask, have you have you done a reading for somebody in which basically it was saying, like the relationship was not working out, it was probably going to end, and the person didn't receive it well?
ooh, I haven't actually had anyone not receive it well because generally when somebody comes asking about it, they already know.
That's true.
Like on
That's
some
true.
level, they already know. They just want either the permission slip to walk away, they want the validation that what they're feeling or thinking is correct. Yeah, I've been surprised by a few where I was like, actually, this doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to.
Right?
I had one client who did break up with the person and wanted to get back together with them. And I was like, no, like, even if you do, you're going to go through the same rigmarole again. So, like, if you want to do that, have at her, it's your choice. But this is a pattern that until you decide to break it, will continue to repeat. So, they didn't love that one, but they understood it. So,
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, of course, they're not going to like the answer that was different than what they wanted to hear, but it's good that they understood it.
yeah.
I actually have experience with this. So I live fairly close to, I'm not sure if you know since you're in Canada, but New Orleans.
Yeah, I went there on vacation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I love New Orleans. I'm only a few hours away, so anytime I can go, I try and go. I just love it.
Don't blame you at all.
Yeah. But I had gotten a tarot and bone reading,
Oh, cool.
which I thought was fascinating. And my question wasn't about my relationship. My question was about when I was going to have babies, right? Because I've always wanted to be a mom. And the person was basically like, I don't think you're going to have children with your husband. I was like, and she's like, I see that you're having going to have children, but by some other man. I was like, that don't make sense. And then I was like, well, maybe because, like maybe if I'm not able to have kids, maybe we have to use like a donor or something like that. I was like, okay, well, maybe. And she's like, and I see all this anger with him. And I was like, oh, okay, well, okay. I mean, he was kind of angry, but, nothing like crazy or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But, but I was like, okay. Well, then a few years later, I don't even know if it was a few years later. I think maybe like a year and a half later, my husband at the time said that he wanted to separate and get a divorce. Um, and so yeah, not gonna have kids with him, you know. And he
Oh,
was
no.
angry, but he was resentful because I have a lung condition,
Oh,
and so he was working super hard to pay all the bills, and then I wasn't working. So yeah, so that was
all
completely
that
right.
anger.
But at the time, it didn't make sense because of all of the things that I saw in my 3D reality. I was like, I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense, you
Yeah.
know? But then afterwards, I was like, man, she was so right. You know?
I have a similar experience, not nearly as intense. Mine's ridiculous because such is my life. But when I moved back from Japan, I was 3 months late in renewing my driver's license. So I had to start all over again.
Oh,
And I was so upset. I think my first renewed photo on my license was me crying. Like just
oh,
so disappointed and upset by it. And again, like that just added to the, oh my gosh, why'd I come back here sort of thing, right? Because again,
right,
taking steps back. So I did all the stuff I had to do. I waited the time because you have to wait like a year of practicing. I'm like, I know how to drive a car, I went to practice, but whatever. And I went to take my test for my first, there's two tests in Canada. So I went to take my first driving test. And I pulled cards before. I'm like, I'm going to see how this is going to go.
right,
And I can't remember exactly what I pulled, but I know I pulled the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is like dot the I's, cross the T's, take care of all the fine details. And I was like, perfect. I'm not going to run any red lights. Like, I'll make sure I signal. And
right.
I get into the car park thing, get ready for my test, and I don't have my insurance sticker, so they let me take the test. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the cards literally told me to make sure I had taken care of all the fine details. And I was like, yeah, I got this. I was so upset. Like,
I bet I would have
I
been
saw
too.
it right there.
Yeah.
I can drive now though, so we're all good.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. It's not nearly as intense here if you don't renew. They just give you a fine and they're like, okay, you're good.
I never got my full license.
Oh, okay. Well, then
I
that makes
had,
sense.
yeah, so I had like, and you have much time, but I had just missed the cutoff because I got my license kind of late and then I moved to Japan in my 20s. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
mhm.
That makes sense for sure.
But yeah,
So,
just, oh.
so I would like to know if there's a recent moment related to your craft that felt like real life magic. And
Ooh.
this could be something for you or something that happened for a client.
So it's a great question. I have a couple. I have a few like kind of fun things. For me personally, I set intentions with the cards because I hosted a master class on it, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna talk the talk, I better walk the walk.
Right?
So I set my intentions, and I did choose the Empress for 2026, which is a card of abundance, of self-care, of comfort, of beauty, of taking your ideas and putting them out into the world. And I know I set the intention, but I feel like everything that's kind of coming into fruition and unfolding with that, I don't want to say it's because of the card, because I'm obviously doing the stuff to make it happen,
Right.
but it feels like there's so much ease, so
And
much more than I've ever experienced before. And I feel like that's magical.
yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. But I think that, because you chose that card, you have that in your mind, like, this is who I want to embody, basically, or what I want to embody. So everything that you're doing, all of those aligned actions all kind of add up to that. So that makes sense.
Exactly. And it does too. And that's why tarot is so good, not just for like what's going to happen or understanding, but you can use it as a tool for manifestation, as a tool for intention setting. Because why the heck not? Right?
Right.
Like who doesn't want to be the
Absolutely.
Empress? Let's be real.
Right.
In terms of other cool things, the past life regressions are generally very fascinating as well. And the things that come out of it, the realizations are just unbelievable so much of the time. So the one of the past life regressions I didn't know this going in, but she would have this dream for years. She had the same dream over and over of this field. And that was the first scene she went to in her past life regression. And she
Oh,
said, every time I dream about this, I just feel so sad. Like I don't know why, but there's just this like lingering sadness. And she could never figure out the next scene because it just always ended in that field.
right.
So we did the past life regression to see what was going on and what was unfolding next. And it turned out that in that past life, she went to that field to wait for her husband to return, and he never came.
Oh, gosh, that's sad.
So it was really sad. So we released that though. We released a lot of that
Yes.
energy. We released like letting go of that. And she said she hasn't felt the sadness since.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, which like to me is just wild, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But that just goes to show what we were saying earlier about how, how you're feeling or how you are in your current reality, that can be because of something from your past life.
Hmm. Well, exactly. I had another client too who died by drowning in a past
Mm.
life. And in this life, she hasn't been able to go in water that's more than ankle deep. Never knew why.
I wonder if it's something like that with my sister-in-law, because my sister-in-law hates water. In we're near the beach, and so sometimes we'll all go to the beach, and she's done a little bit better now, but she does not like going anything above waist level. Like she's like, no, I'm good, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And
So,
it's interesting because maybe it is something from that. And you can use tarot to look into past lives as well. So that's actually where I
oh,
started with
that's
it.
cool.
But you don't get as nearly as specific as you would by doing a regression.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. But I didn't know that you could. I mean, it makes sense, but I just never thought about the fact that you could possibly use tarot to do past life. That's
All the
cool.
fun things, right?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
fun things in the tarot.
That's so cool. So now what is one aligned action or piece of advice you can give our listeners to shift their energy today?
Okay, so in true Adrienne fashion, I will pull cards for this.
Sounds great.
I'm just going to use a standard Rider-Waite Smith deck. So if anyone listening is familiar with tarot at all, you will probably be familiar with these cards. But I am a deck collector because I can't stop myself. Like it's a gateway drug, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm the same way with oracle cards.
Yeah, right.
So,
It's like once you start, you're like, oh, now I need this one just because it's pretty. Like there's no
right,
other.
exactly. And I have several tarot decks as well, but not as many as I do oracle cards.
I'm the opposite. I have several Oracle decks, but not nearly as many as tarot.
Nice.
I have a favorite though.
Um, so I have three favorites. So for Oracle, I have a Moonology deck, a Saints deck, and then there's one more that I have that I use all the time, but I can't think of the name of it right now. But now I'm gonna have to look it up. But anyways, but yeah, so
But you
I
see
have
the cards in your head.
right, exactly. I have three decks that I pull from all of the time. And but I just got some new ones that are specifically for like manifesting and things like that. So I'm really excited about using those ones a little more.
That'll be cool. That'd be cool to see. All right,
Yes.
so I pulled three cards. I usually like to read in, pairs or threes or fives or whatever. I'm gonna just take off the blur. There we go. So we have the Two of Pentacles, we have the Ten of Cups, and we have the Four of Swords. So an aligned action or piece of advice to shift your energy today. The first and foremost, that Two of Pentacles says really take stock of what you're juggling. Where your resources going? And by resources, it can be money, but resources are time and their energy, right? Because those are limited to how much we have in a day. So the Two of Pentacles is like, look, we juggle a lot. We're good at being flexible. Human life, we got to do it sometimes. But make sure that you're really seeing where your resources are going and how much you actually have to be juggling. Because most of the time we start that juggling act and we get out of balance and we just keep going because we don't take
Right.
the time to slow down and look at it, right? So if you want to
Absolutely.
drop some of those balls, drop the balls, man.
Right.
We don't have to have them all in the air. And the Two of Pentacles is the reminder that balance is a perpetual thing. So you might find a great balance for the next few days, and then something comes your way and you're throwing off balance again. So you have to continuously adjust. So
That's
don't,
really important.
it is. And I think that's a hard thing with your energy because you're like, yeah, I've got this. And you feel so powerful one day. And then the universe is like, haha, here's a detour. And you're like, oh my gosh, right? So giving
Right,
yourself
exactly. Just
permission.
like today, so because I've edited this podcast, no one knows, but we spent 25 minutes trying to get my microphone to work. So, you know,
But we went with it, right?
right, exactly.
And I think it's just that's a really important thing to do to make sure that you are continuously taking stock and shifting in a way that's good for you. With the Ten of Cups, I love this Ten of Cups because it's the reminder of connection, of harmony, and of doing what makes your heart full,
Ooh,
right? If
yeah.
we want to shift our energy, if we want to take a really good piece of action right now, right here, go do something you actually enjoy. Go have some fun, have some love, have some connection in your life, right? Look
Yes.
at that rainbow. Go into the rainbow.
Right. Exactly. And that's one of the things with manifesting, like getting into that state of joy,
Yeah.
that childlike fun, all of that helps you manifest more.
Yeah. And it's like because you want to attract what you want, right? So if we're
Exactly.
in that, and I hate to say positive place, but that's the only way I can think of saying it. But
Yeah,
that aligned, that's a better way. If we're in that aligned place, things are going to just unfold so much more easily than if you're resistant.
exactly.
Yeah. And with the cups too, like cups are a receptive suit in the tarot, right? Because if you think about it, you're filling a cup. So
Yes.
it's also opening your heart to receiving all of that.
Yes. Yes. Opening it up to receive. I love that.
Yeah. And then our last one is the Four of Swords, which my goodness comes up all the time, especially in this day and age. But the Four of Swords is a card that tells us to chill out, to get out of our head, to disconnect from the chaos of our mind, to rest now so that we can live to fight another day. We sometimes get so caught up in our thoughts and being productive that moments of stillness are super uncomfortable. But the Four of Swords says, give yourself that grace. Give yourself that permission. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. Resting is not unproductive. Resting is where we find clarity. It's where we find wisdom. And if you want to know how to shift your energy and you want clarity in that path, give yourself a moment to just sit with it. Don't push,
I can
right?
definitely see why that's coming up a lot more recently.
All the time.
Yeah, I believe that for sure.
Yeah. And I think especially because like we live in a world or a society that is very fast paced, where you
Yes,
are always bombarded with the next thing. The news is constant. Social media is always changing. We're always looking for a new dopamine hit because we're being programmed like to keep on scrolling, right?
right,
So
exactly.
it's a hard habit to break, but once you do it, and it'll take time, and nothing here is saying you have to do it overnight, right? But once we kind of break that habit and focus more on that joy and that intentional, meaningful connection, the more we start seeing those doors open.
I totally agree. I do. Anything else you wanted to add for our listeners to take heart with today?
I think my big thing, I have two things lately that I'm really focusing a lot of, okay, three things that I'm really focusing a lot of energy and intention on. And I would encourage others if this feels right for you to do the same. And the first is curiosity. Get curious, ask questions, and be okay with not having the answers. Because I think my favorite thing about this whole big wide universe is that we don't get the answers. We get
Yeah,
possibilities.
there's so much stuff.
Yeah,
We don't have the answers.
but we don't need to.
Right.
Because, like, think of all the different ways things could go. Isn't that so exciting?
I think so.
You get to explore. Like, you'd be like a little adventurer. I don't know.
Right.
I would say approach anything with curiosity. And especially if you're getting into manifestation, if you're trying to attract the abundance you want into your life or the soulmate that you want into your life, don't approach things with expectation and don't approach it with a sense of hard control because that won't
Yeah.
get you what you. It never does. It never
No.
does. Drive ourselves into a cliff and then we're mad.
Right.
Um, my next one is fun. Have more fun. People are so serious nowadays.
Yes.
None of this has to be serious all the time. And I always say, yes, tarot can be deep and it can be meaningful and it can be raw, but it can also be a laugh, right? Like
Absolutely.
you can use it for fun. So one of my favorite examples is I used to pull a card for myself every day. I'm trying to get back into the habit, but I go in and out of this habit. That's very much me.
I used to do it too, and I
Yeah.
kind of got out of it.
Yeah, and sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. So it is what it is.
Right.
But I just before I went to work, I pulled the tower.
Mm.
Now, the tower is a card of chaos, upheaval, change, destruction. It's usually change that you don't love, like it's your tower falling over.
Right.
And driving to work, I was super careful. I didn't want to get into like a car accident or anything like that. I go through the drive-through at Tim Hortons and I get a tea and a chocolate chip muffin. And so far, everything's okay. I get to work, I sit down at my desk, and I go to eat my breakfast, and they gave me a blueberry muffin.
Oh,
And I was like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Because that was the tower moment. That was the change, the upheaval, the
right.
chaos, right? Like I don't love blueberry muffins, but it doesn't have to be all these big, deep changes and shifts all the time. And I think it's a really
Right.
important thing to keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Like
it can
some
be
of,
something small.
yeah, like some of this is just the universe making a joke at you, and you just take it and you roll with it, right?
Right.
So more fun. And more connection. I think even though we live in a world where it's very easy to seem like we're connecting with other people, there is a lot of loneliness. So
Yes.
more heart-centered connection, more authenticity, more, showing up as you. We're not here to compete with one another. It doesn't matter if so-and-so is doing something and you're not. Like, show up 100% as you, which I know is scary, but it's so important because when we connect authentically in that way, people do better. People judge
Absolutely.
less, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what people are craving now more. Before, a few years ago, it was like perfectly polished and choreographed, like Instagrams, and like you had to show up as a certain way. But now people are like, we just want to know who you are. Like
Yeah,
who's the real person here? You know?
exactly. Yeah, be the nerd. Like be
Right.
the like the dorky things that you like, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So, which I like better because I was never good at doing the polished things. So, like I have someone else that does my Instagram post. So, because they look like a hot mess if I do them most of the time. So,
I
but
think
like it when I go live or when I post my Facebook posts and things like that, like that's all me. If it sounds serious, it's because I'm serious. If it sounds silly and sassy, it's because that's how I feel like being that day, you know?
showing up that day, right?
Right, exactly.
And I think that's so good because we're moving away from that kind of one note energy into the
Yeah,
multifaceted energy that humans are. And we are messy and we're not perfect and we don't know all the answers. And most of us are just trying our best to set out what we're here to do and learn what we're supposed to learn. And we can't really ask for much more.
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally. So, just closing this session out today. So, what is one thing you'd love to leave our listeners with, whether it's something you're creating, something you love, or something or excuse me, simply where they can find you, or all of the above?
So pick up a tarot deck. Or an Oracle deck too. Both are amazing. The reason I like tarot is because I do like the structure of it, which I know for a lot of people feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
But the way I look at tarot is you've experienced all those cards. So when you relate your life experiences with the cards, it's so much easier to remember. 'Cause you're like, oh yeah, I remember that sucked. Like that was awesome, you know?
Right.
So it makes it much more relational. So don't be afraid to pick up a deck of cards and see how it speaks to you and what it does for you. Because the worst that happens is you learn something about yourself, right? That's the
Right.
absolute worst. Or you look at some pretty pictures, you know? Not
Exactly.
not a whole lot that's too bad there. In terms of what I'm creating, I do have a program to learn tarot called the Tarot Lab, and it's really more than it's not a course. I always have a hard time explaining what it is succinctly, but the Tarot Lab is a masterclass series with tarot practice sessions and office hours. So I am assuming that most people coming to the lab have a little bit of a baseline with the cards and just want to learn how to connect with them in different meaningful ways and learn about themselves as they're doing it. So that's my main thing right now that I am so excited about.
Yeah, I love it. I need to join the Tarot Lab.
Yeah, and it's so much fun. I have monthly challenges. I'm just here to support anybody on their tarot journey. Like I tell people I will talk tarot forever, and it's not a joke. Like it's not me just being like, oh, ha ha ha. No, I really will. Um, so yeah, that's just something I am super, super excited about continuing to put out into the world. Um, and something just that people don't realize I do pet readings as well. And
Oh, that's cool.
I never talk about it. I never promote it. It's on my website and I don't
Right.
know why. I just like never do anything with it, but you can also use tarot to connect with your pets. So there's another maybe reason to get into it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And where can they
Oh,
find you?
sorry, I didn't answer that part.
Oh, you're good.
So you can find me at adrienneamari.com. So it's ADRIENNEAMARI.com. My grandmother never spelled my name right, so I feel like I always have to spell it. And we didn't know because my grandfather signed all the cards for years. And then when he passed, she started doing the cards, and we were like, wait a sec. That's not how you spell my name, but it had gone on for far too long that we couldn't correct her at that point, you know?
It's funny.
So yeah, that's my name. You can also find me on pretty much any social media platform. So Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Instagram is probably my favorite, so I do tend to show up there the most. But it's at Adrienne Amari Tarot.
Okay, awesome. And I'll have all of the links to everything that you've talked about in the show note descriptions. So anybody who's wanting to get access to that and who actually needs to see it or click on it, I'll have it.
Thank
Because
you.
I know sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. And then other times I'm like, wait, what? And so
Yeah.
it's just easier to see it. So
And like I said, my name is misspelled all the time. So
I feel you.
I get
My,
the boy spelling too, and I'm like, I'm not a boy.
oh, I could see that. I could see that. Yep. That makes sense. I know like my middle name is Anne, and so a lot of times people will spell it, A-N or A-N-N, and I'm like, no, it's A-N-N-E. And so a lot of times like people are like they'll get it wrong or what
Yeah,
have you. So I understand that.
it's fair. It happens.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast with me today and dealing with all of the sound and tech issues that we had. The tech demons were so powerful today, but I'm glad that you stuck through and we were able to do this podcast today. I
Me
really
too. It was
appreciate it.
so much fun talking to you, and thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, listeners, you have been listening to the Magic Manifesting Mindset podcast with Adrienne, a tarot reader, teacher, clarity coach, and past life regressionist. And of course, your host, me, Monica. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day and happy manifesting.